Some breaking news this morning. We just got the GDP numbers out for this quarter. So just to explain it to you in a way that nobody else in media will, which is the accurate way, there is something called the quarterly figure and the annualized. So the quarterly figure, GDP, gross domestic product, rose 7.4% in this third quarter. Annualized out, that is 33%. So recall last quarter, as we covered here on the show, I think it was like 20-something% drop. So people who were against Trump were like, look, it's a 20% drop. It's like, no, it was like 7. This time around, it's the same thing. It's 7% increase. And now all the Trump supporters are like, see, it's a 33%.
Right.
No, it's none of that. Here's essentially where we're at right now, which is that from this point in 2019, okay, we have contracted 2.9%. 2019 Q3 to 2020 Q3. So we increased 7.3% over the last couple of months. Not bad. We're still down 3% contraction to the last year, which shows where we are essentially. Now remember, a 3% contraction in GDP is still quite large. So that does not mean we are out of the woods whatsoever. Let me tell you some of the industries where we have seen the biggest contractions and increases. Consumption is down by 3%. Business investment down by 2.5%. Residential investment, which is the housing market, is up by 6.6%. It's one of the only parts of the economy which is booming, so to speak. Federal spending up 3.5%. State and local down 1.6%. So what can you see as the glaring areas there? State and local funding, business investment, and consumption. All three of those things, guess what they can be fixed by? Congress! And they're not doing it.
And they're not doing it. As we reported here, Trump officially killed the deal this week. I saw the outlines of a letter from Nancy Pelosi this morning talking about all the areas where they were still at odds with Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin's offer that they had put on the table. So Mitch McConnell had said that, it didn't look like they had gotten that close, and it kind of seems that that was actually the case, not because there wasn't a deal to be had, but because, frankly, Pelosi and many others didn't really want to come to a deal and operate in good faith. As we've said, bad actors all the way around. But we're starting to get a look at what are some of the consequences of the fact that no deal was reached. And while it's sort of, it's really easy, for normal people, apparently not for the people in this town, but for anyone living really out there in the world, to see the impact directly on workers, people who are unemployed, people who are working in the airline industry, struggling to make it after that unemployment plus up went away without another stimulus check. But one of the things that has been a little bit more under the radar is the massive toll at the state and local level, which ultimately translates into more job loss of public services, basic things. We're talking about police, firefighters, teachers, pensions, really critical, being able to build roads and fix roads and clear snow and all this stuff that makes our society function. Wall Street Journal has a great piece out talking about this is the worst cash crisis that states have faced since the Great Depression, not the recession, the Great Depression. 46 states, according to Moody's Analytics, are coming up short in terms of their budgets. Some of the worst hit, it's not going to surprise you, Nevada, tourism industry, Louisiana, and Florida having the greatest gaps as a percentage of their 2019 budgets. Let me just read you this little section to give you a sense of how bad things are. Nationwide, U.S. state budget shortfall from 2020 through 2022 could be $434 billion. That's again, according to Moody's Analytics. That is greater than the 2019 K-12 education budget for every state combined. And it is more than twice the amount spent in that year on state roads and other transportation infrastructure nationwide. So the budget shortfall that is projected is greater than if you took all the education spending on K-12 and put it together. This shortfall is greater than that. I mean, that is a massive crisis in the making.
Right, and pair that with what you've seen a 1.6% contraction. And I told you, there are Republican governors and other officials in Missouri and other states who are like, we need cash now, or we will not be able to pay hazard pay. We can't do the snow. If you have cops, you want to pay them overtime, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, all state and local officials There's a huge percentage of this country which is employed by state and local governments. And so these are big employers. They all have balanced budget amendments, about 33 out of the 50 states, which means they can't deficit spend. So the government literally has to bail them out, or they have to start cutting. Immediately, it will just be overnight. Oh, no more cops. Oh, or cops going down to like 30%. Firefighters go down to 20%. Oh, we just cut this, which means everybody's on mass furlough and you can't go to the DMV anymore. I mean, these are many things which can dramatically impact your life. And it's just how you'll have the immediate fraying of society over a period of months. And I think that's what's going to happen.
Look, in New York City is one really concrete sort of preview of where things are going. They had to cut garbage service,
yes, right.
waste removal service by, 30% or something like that. I'm making up those numbers as based on my memory. And trash piled up so much and so quickly that Cuomo actually was like, I may have to send in the National Guard to remove the waste from the streets of New York. It's a health crisis. I mean, and these things can just snowball out of control. I mean, that's some flashbacks. Reggie, who's our camera guy, will remember to New York in the 70s. Similar dynamic. But, Trump has made this out like, oh, it's just the blue states that want to bail out.
No, it's not.
46 states in the country are facing shortfalls. The worst among them are Nevada, swing state. He's got maybe a shot to win it. Louisiana, red state, and Florida. Good chance Trump's going to win Florida this time around, too. So get this idea out of your head that this is a blue state crisis. Almost every state in the nation is facing a massive shortfall, and it's going to have implications for your kids' education, for the quality of your community, for workers that are employed by that state across the country.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, more rising for you after this.